Welcome to Quicksand, the most important news in pharma and biotech this week. The FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research Director, Janet Woodcock, laid out her proposal to modernize the Office of New Drugs in an effort to make drug reviews more efficient. The proposal centers around instituting process changes to make administrative process more consistent and less time-consuming, and to reorganize O&D's review divisions to be more focused on specific therapeutic areas. In a post to FDA's blog, Woodcock writes that the proposed changes are intended to free up resources so that our scientists and physicians have more time to focus on drug development, particularly for unmet medical needs, and on the multiple collaborations needed to make sure candidate drugs are developed and assessed properly. In a separate statement, FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said he is fully committed to implementing the proposed changes. In terms of process improvements, Woodcock said her goal is to develop a common review template that will be used by all O&D review divisions and enhance the office's IT capabilities to make it easier for staff to access information generated during reviews. Other aspects of the modernization plan include a focus on hiring and retention, as called for under the 21st Century Cures Act, and the development of a unified post-market safety surveillance framework to better track benefits and risks of drugs throughout the total product life cycle. The other component of the modernization effort is to sharply increase the number of offices within O&D from 5 to 9, and increase the number of review divisions within those offices from 19 to 30. Woodcock also said that O&D and its staff of more than 1,000 will be reorganized to better enable integration between review teams and staff from other CDER offices, such as the Office of Translational Sciences, Office of Surveillance and Epidemiology, and Office of Pharmaceutical Quality. However, it is unclear how soon the proposed reorganization will take place. In an email to staff, Janet Woodcock, director of the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, announced that the center's formal dispute resolution program is moving in response to an increase in disputes from generic drug makers. Specifically, Woodcock said the program would move from its current home within the immediate office of the Office of New Drugs to the Office of Executive Programs, allowing the program to be managed at the center level. The reason for the move, Woodcock said, is that the program is used by both Office of New Drugs and the Office of Generic Drugs, and that the number of formal disputes raised by generic drug makers is on the rise. However, Woodcock said that while the program is moving, the process for formal dispute resolution will remain unchanged. Woodcock also announced that Melissa Sage, previously the Deputy Ombudsman at the Center for Devices and Radiological Health, will serve as the formal dispute resolution project manager, in addition to her new role as Assistant CDER Ombudsman. The FDA released new draft guidance on formal meetings between biosimilar sponsors and the agency, replacing previous guidance from November 2015. The 21-page draft, completed as part of the second iteration of the biosimilar user fee goals, features sections on the 4 types of biosimilar biological product development meetings, namely biosimilar initial advisory, Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, and Type 4. Type 1 meetings include discussions on clinical holds in which the requester seeks input on how to address the hold issues, or in which a response to hold issues has been submitted and reviewed by the FDA, but the FDA and the requester agree that development is stalled and a new path forward should be discussed. The draft also discusses what meeting requests should include and request response timelines. FDA notes that there are 3 formats for meetings: face-to-face, teleconference, video conference, and written response only. In a newly released revised draft guidance, the FDA explains how drug makers can qualify for user fee waivers for drugs intended to treat human immunodeficiency virus. Under Section 736D of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, drug makers can qualify for waivers or fee reductions for contributing to public health if the fee is considered a barrier to innovation or if the developer qualifies as a small business. While FDA says it assesses waiver requests on a case-by-case basis, most fixed-dose combination HIV therapies and single-entity versions of previously approved HIV therapies proposed for use in the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR, will qualify for a barrier to innovation waiver for both application and post-approval fees. The revised draft guidance updates a 2007 guidance titled user fee waivers for FDC and co-packaged HIV drugs for PEPFAR, to include single-entity versions of previously approved antiretroviral therapies for the treatment of HIV. When reviewing barrier to innovation fee waiver requests, FDA says it will consider whether the product under development is innovative and whether the fees would be a significant barrier to the applicant's ability to develop, manufacture, or market the product. As for whether the fee is a significant barrier, FDA says it plans to consider HIV products for PEPFAR use to fall under other circumstances that would justify a fee waiver. During the 100th meeting of the European Medicines Agency Management Board, the agency provided updates on its preparations for Brexit and said that the EU clinical trial portal is nearing completion. At the meeting, EMA announced that it and the Netherlands have signed the agreement detailing the legal relationship between the agency and its staff and the Dutch government once the agency begins operations in the Netherlands next year. The agency also said it has redistributed the 370 centrally authorized products with UK rapporteurs to new co-rapporteurs from other EU countries, as well as Iceland and Norway. According to EMA, marketing authorization holders were notified of the new rapporteurships in April, and the new co-rapporteurs will assume full responsibility for the reallocated products on March 30th, 2019, when the UK officially exits the EU. The agency is also working on a knowledge transfer package for each reallocated product that will include background information on the regulatory and evaluation history of each product. The packages are intended to help national regulators allocate resources for the new products added to their portfolios, especially for more complex products. EMA also told its management board that an auditable release of its EU clinical trial portal and database is nearly complete. In June 2017, EMA delayed application of the EU clinical trial regulation from October 2018 to 2019 due to technical difficulties with the development of the IT systems necessary to implement the regulation, which include an auditable portal and database for all clinical trials in the EU. Looking ahead, EMA said it will begin user acceptance testing of the release in November after the relocated data center is completed, and is planning to audit the system in early 2019. EMA also said it is paying close attention to how its relocation may impact the completion of the clinical trial portal, especially in the event key agency or developer staff choose not to relocate. Thank you for listening to Quicksand, episode 34, June 11th, 2018.